Hello, YouTube. Judging by the actions of the main Arctic players, this prospect of large-scale conflicts over Arctic resources is becoming clearer every year. And given the militarization of the region and the constant military exercises, espionage, and the training of special forces by Arctic states to conduct military operations in permafrost conditions, one must be prepared for the most unexpected, including military scenarios. The fight against enemy saboteurs in the Russian Arctic is entrusted to several detachments of combat swimmers, who in the near future will operate not only in the permanent locations of the Northern Fleet, but also for the first time in history of underwater sabotage forces and assets. As part of mobile detachments in the temporary deployment of fleet forces, Russian abbreviation for this is PDSS. The frogmen will also have to operate in remote areas of the Arctic and the most severe weather conditions of the Arctic. The tasks of Russian underwater swimmers, who are subordinate to the command of the Northern Fleet, includes the protection of ships from both the sea and from land. Units of combat swimmers are formed from military personnel under contract. All sailors and officers are carefully selected, tested for endurance, orientation on the terrain, and the ability to overcome psychological stress. The advanced training course includes diving, parachuting, topographic, assault engineering, and mining. It is combined with the modeling of force majeure situations, such as a faulty rebreather at depth or spending the night in a cemetery during a march. Rebreathers are used in many environments. Underwater diving rebreathers are a type of self-contained underwater breathing apparatus which have provisions for both a primary and emergency gas supply. The main task of the combat swimmers of the Northern Fleet is to catch enemy underwater saboteurs who threaten warships, coastal installations of Russia's naval bases, including remote ones in the archipelagos of the Arctic Ocean, Navy and Army personnel, as well as military garrisons. Sometimes combat swimmers perform specific tasks to prevent enemy agents from entering sunken submarines to reveal defensive secrets. Underwater special forces are armed with special small arms automatic weapons, which are designed for use not only on land, but also underwater. These are two medium APS submachine guns and SPP-1 pistols. Back in the USSR, a special cartridge with a needle-type bullet was developed for the APS machine gun, which effectively hits targets at depth. However, APS is not as effective on land. Well, then there is a reportedly new ADS with a bullpup layout when the trigger is in front of the clip. It surpasses the APS in accuracy of shooting or firing both in the air and underwater. On land, it shoots special 5.45 by 39 millimeter caliber cartridges. All you need to do is just change the magazine. The swimmers also have a special DP-61 dual anti-sabotage grenade launcher, which also allows them to destroy saboteurs underwater. I will describe the weapons of underwater Spetsnaz in greater detail in future videos, as new systems have been introduced recently. High-speed boats, including the Raptor and Grachonok types, have already entered service with the PDSS detachments in Gradzievo on the basis of the underwater forces of the Northern Fleet. There's a comprehensive training simulator for training underwater special forces. New simulators, they simulate pressure at depth, as well as underwater currents and even coastal mountain slopes. Thus, the divers undergo a course of mining and anti-piracy training. However, working out operational and tactical tasks on a simulator is necessarily combined with practice at landfills and in the waters of ports, harbors. Scientists have dubbed the training of marine animals for military purposes combat biotechnical warfare systems. The Americans successfully used trained dolphins and trained sea lions in the U.S. Navy operations in the Persian Gulf from 1991 through 2004. In the USSR, scientific and experimental research on this topic was conducted in the Black Sea, Pacific, and Northern fleets. You can find my videos on the subject of the Soviet use of militarized dolphins. The Murmansk Marine Biological Institute of the Kola Science Center of the Russian Academy of Science did not stop training marine animals even after the collapse of the USSR, preparing combat seals for special tasks. The Northern Fleet has been providing all possible assistance in animal training at that time. Thanks to the joint efforts, the results of 20 years of work by scientists have not been lost. Dolphins are good for anti-sabotage work in tropical and subtropical waters, while in the Arctic, with air temperatures of minus 30 and water reaching up to 1.7 degrees below zero, dolphins are not suitable. Ice is unacceptable to them at all. Based on this, the so-called aborigines are suitable for the service. For the first time in the world, Murmansk scientists have been taming most of the local inhabitants of pinnipeds. The most capable were not sea lions and fur seals, but real seals. Today, the Northern Fleet, improving the system of protecting the water area of bases from saboteurs and terrorists, effective methods of searching for sunken objects and rescuing people, considers combat seals as reliable human assistance because it is extremely difficult to work underwater in the harsh local conditions. Trained and tamed pinnipeds are irreplaceable in speed and efficiency. Keeping animals, ensuring their adoption, training, and use require the creation of floating enclosures, which often could not withstand the stormy conditions of the north. Normal conditions of stay should also be provided for the staff, especially in the winter. Therefore, a project was developed and implemented for a floating complex suitable for operation both in calm bays and in the Barents Sea. The study of the possibilities of using various marine mammals for combat missions, including bottlenose dolphins, belugas, as well as Pacific fur seals and sea lions from the Black Sea, confirmed the hypothesis that the locals, seals, are the most adapted to sabotage work, and in terms of the speed of developing skills of specific combat work, they are not inferior to dolphins of the southern seas. The advantage of the seal is that it does not require a pool for long-distance transportation. It can endure a trip without water and is able to stay on land for a long time. Besides, the seal is able to dive to much greater depths and develop a higher speed underwater compared to dolphin. Sailing behind the combat swimmer's boat, the trained seal will not lag behind, easily overcoming the speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour. What did the Russian war seals learn to do? Well, a seal like that can detect a mine, recognize the markings of metal objects in shallow waters, deliver tools to a diver, and bring a wounded scuba diver to shore. Specialists who prepare pinnipeds for sabotage work are worth their weight in gold. The Murmansk laboratory was saved thanks to the joint efforts of animal enthusiasts. A new stage of work with seals began in 1997 and was associated with their preparation for action in natural conditions with access to the waters of the naval base. The Northern Fleet helped to create the Krasnye Kamny Aqua Training Ground, which is as close as possible in the characteristics to the water area intended for protection. In typical northern conditions, year-round Pinniped training is conducted in cooperation with military personnel from anti-sabotage units. Ring seals, which are also used in their natural habitats, turned out to be promising combatants. Pups are selected from breeding grounds among the ice of the White Sea. After all, you need to start training from the period of when the pups are feeding. It is at this time that the stage of primary adaptation of animals to life in captivity takes place. During the collapse of the USSR, there could be no question of keeping seals because a 2-month-old seal reaches the weight of 30 kilograms and eats up to 1.5 kilograms of fish per day. The feeding process, as you know, is the main component of the animal's communication with the trainer. And the conditions of the polar winter, icy wind and storm, should not be a hindrance to this regime. Under the influence of water pressure and temperature, the seal's response to various signals varies. So each pinniped has its own optimal depth range. The Murmansk specialists know the secrets of developing complex condition reflexes to sound and electromagnetic stimuli. In order for a seal to work in tandem with a combat swimmer, it must learn to unconditionally follow the commands of its partner. And after completing the task, it must independently follow a boat or high-speed boat of the special forces, the Spetsnaz. If necessary, a combat seal must move like a combat swimmer, not only in the water, but also on land or on the deck of a vessel. Detecting flooded objects is another task that pinnipeds take part in. Sometimes only animals can deliver tools to a flooded objects and objects to be delivered back. But combat seals can not only help with towing and communicate between divers. They are trained to attack scuba divers, even disrupt oxygen equipment, thus neutralizing the enemy saboteur. Patrolling the waters area and inspecting the hull of a submarine are among the tasks of the SEAL Combat Service. If a foreign object is found on the hull of the submarine, the SEAL marks the danger with a special buoy. It can also do this work at night. In the context of the changing geopolitical situation in the Arctic related to the production of hydrocarbons on the shelf, the range of tasks of biotechnical systems will expand. The development of the Northern Sea route and the Russian ice-breaking fleet will require the development of additional security methods for nuclear-powered vessels, including icebreakers. The possibilities of seals and beluga cetaceans are poorly understood. Their natural sonars are so sensitive that, according to some scientists, they are suitable for detecting and identifying small targets. There is no doubt about the intelligence of these friends of the humans. Next up is research on controlling animals through their senses and creating a remote control by stimulating the nervous system of seals using electrical signals. One thing I want to add, the United States and Russia nowadays are narrowing the differences, and it looks like they will closely cooperate in the Arctic, based on recent news reports. In my book, Russia's USO Secrets, I have described the UFOs and USOs of the Arctic. The self-proclaimed UFO experts in the West are largely clueless about the sightings and encounters in the Russian Arctic, as well as Russian military observations of UFOs and USOs in unfriendly waters, as, for example, near Greenland. So maybe its value can be understood from this angle. But the US government is not clueless, and they realize the dangers lurking in the waters and the sky over the Arctic. and might work together with the Russians to face the challenges. I don't know where it leaves the Chinese, who are very much eager to be active in the Arctic too, working through Russia, but time will show. Time will tell. That's what I wanted to let you know today. And if you like my research, please support me through the links you will find in description to this video. Please like my videos. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button. Please tell others about my work, and thank you.